Hey y'all. So, as you already know, we have a super powerful full moon that is coming upon us on August the 19th, 2024, in the sign of Aquarius. And at this particular time, along with the full moon, the energy in the skies are bringing forth chaos, tension, struggle, just thickness, and not necessarily bad, change and transformation and sudden shocking events, all of those things. But we're going to talk about why this full moon and all of those energies at this particular moment in time is doing what they're doing. We're going to talk about those details, tease it out, and describe how it's going to be affecting each and every one of you based on your sun, moon, or rising signs. But first, before we even get into that, let's talk about what a full moon actually is. So a full moon is an opposition between the moon and the sun. And sometimes we can categorize oppositions as challenging energy. It really just depends on what sign the sun and the moon are in, and do those signs or their ruling planets, do they play nicely? Right? So you have the sun and the moon sitting across from each other, giving us our full moon. And in full moon energies bring forth with it a burst of energy. A surge of energy that energizes us to move and to do things, to make action, where we didn't before. So if you had a desire to change something, if you had an idea, if you wanted to do something, and you have a full moon hitting it with its burst of energy, you're going to move on that thing. But full moon's energy is so unrefined, is so unprocessed. It's kind of chaotic in itself, because it's just new and it's just a burst of thing. Although it has an energy of bringing things to fruition. It has an energy of bringing things to light, but it's still untamed because we haven't had a chance to sit with that energy and direct it in the way that we want it to do, and to bring about what we want it to bring about, because it hits us so suddenly. Now, what's special about this full moon and all of its glory, bringing its energy with it, it's going to be very close to us. And so this is why it's a super moon. A super full moon happens when the moon is close to us. So we feel its energy a bit more potently, right? Because it's closer to us. So we have that going on. Not only do we have that going on, we have some other challenging conversations in the skies, or challenging conversations between the planets that are happening in the skies. And I call it conversations because it's easier to kind of convey exactly what's happening. And so if you think about it, think about yourself when you're having a conversation with your best friend, or you're having a conversation with somebody that you get along with. The energy is easy. You're passing ideas, you're laughing, you're keying, and everything is all good because the energy between you and that person, or between you and those people, if it's a group of friends, it's all good. But imagine the person that you don't get along with at work because they always got a snide remark. They always are too critical. They always are very nosy. They always are, you name it. They're doing something that just rubs you the wrong way, or you're doing something that rubs them the wrong way, and the energy between you is just not good. Or every time you get in a room with somebody, you have it's argument, it's frustration, it's, you know what I mean? It's just not easy. And so I like for you to think about it that way, because this is actually what's happening in the sky. It's not the easy conversations that's happening. It's the ones that are hard. It's the one that brings intensity. It's the ones that bring the challenges and the struggles and the conflict. That is what's actually happening. And that is, those conversations are being energized by the energy that the moon is bringing. So what are those aspects or those conversations like that are happening in the sky? Number one, we have oppositions. Number two, we have squares. So oppositions aren't necessarily bad, but they do bring intensity, and it depends on how those planets actually gel or not with each other. So an opposition is the planets standing directly across from one another, right? So like the sun and the moon is directly across from each other. The moon is going to be in Aquarius and the sun is going to be in Leo. That's 180-degree opposition. So we have other oppositions that's coming along. And so oppositions, all of these conversations in the sky, they beg certain questions. And so oppositions, you want to know, the first thing you want to ask yourself when you figure out, is this going to be an opposition, is, okay, what is the level of intensity going to be? Is this aspect bringing balance? Is it bringing challenge? Do these planets get along? Is it a you scratch my back, I scratch your back thing? You do for me, I do, like, you know what I mean? Like, we get along? Or is it going to be a fight? Do they just not mix like oil and water? That's what you need to find out what's going on. And this is what we're going to talk about. The other type of conversation that's going on is the square. And the square is a 90-degree aspect. It's a hard angle. This is a full-on battle, okay? A full-on battle is bringing tension, it's bringing struggle, it's bringing conflict. And the questions that you should be asking when we're having squares is, what is the solution going to be? Because you have to figure out the solution. Like, what is coming up that's causing this challenge that I have to solve? Right? Also, what squares do is they force you to ask the question, where do I find my strength in this? Right? I know there are certain challenges that I have gone through, and I didn't even know that I had the strength that I had until that challenge, that conflict, that struggle brought it out of me. And so that is what the square is going to do. So it ain't necessarily bad, in my opinion. I'm not going to say I like, because it's not always comfortable, but the squares with the challenging energy that it brings, it always brings, the aftermath is the staying power of what that challenge is unearthing, right? And so when you're having a square, you want to ask yourself, who am I now? Who do I want to be, or who will I be when this challenge is over? Right? And that's all about how you're going to solve that conflict, right? So what is the challenge trying to teach you is what you need to be asking, right? How can I dig deep and find my strength? Okay. And so, yes, people are talking about, oh, you need to go hide under a rock. You need to be scared, and you need to do. No, you don't need to do that. You need to be brave, right? And so people, yes, they're going to be not acting like themselves. You might not be acting like yourself, but if you're informed, you need to check that. Like, you're here and you're having this conversation with me right now. If you feel yourself being irrational, you need to check that shit. You need to calm it down, right? So what I'm saying is, understand that the energy is going to bring about irrational behavior in people. It's going to bring shocking things out. Things are going to shock you. Right? The energy might want to take something away from you, but no, if it takes something away from you, that thing that is taken away from you, it don't serve you, and it's going to replace it with something that will, either immediately or eventually. Okay. But it's your job to figure out what the energy is trying to move you toward. How are you going to do that? By asking yourself those questions that we just asked a few moments ago, right? And so to become a better you got to figure out what these challenges are actually trying to bring you, right? It's the challenges, it's the struggles that teach you your strength. It shows you the depths of who you are. It rips layers into you. And no, it might not always be comfortable. comfortable, but you know what? You do become better. And right, without having those, you will never know who you can be. You never know what you can accomplish. So welcome the challenges. Welcome this energy. Know what's going on so that you can use it to get to where you have to go. And understand that whatever experience it brings you, your whole being is going to know why you will or you won't do something, why you will be with somebody, why you won't, why you will do that job, why you won't, why you will put that business in play, why you won't, why you will have that relationship, while you won't. And guess what? Every single last fiber of you, because of the experience that the challenge is bringing you, is going to know why you will or you won't. And I always tell my son, when you have an experience that moves you in such a way, your toenails, why you know why you going to do something and why you won't. So welcome this. Don't hide. Be brave. Right? There will be heightened emotions, but keep your composure. And you know what? The composed is always in control. The composed always win. Just be prepared. And this is why you're here, because I'm preparing you, right? So if it's raining, you want to have your raincoat, your rain boots, and your umbrella. If you're going to be stepping into battle, you want to have your spear. You want to have your sword. You want to have your shield. And you want to have your plan. You want to have a strategy, right? Because you can't win without a strategy. All right. So what are some of those challenging aspects that are happening? We're going to be having on August the 18th. So I'm going a couple days. The new moon is actually going to be on the 19th. So we got to get into what the energy is doing on the days leading up to the full moon, because like I said, the energy from the full moon is energizing all of this stuff. And you can feel the energy from this particular full moon at least a week or two before and a week or two after. So on August the 18th, Mercury is moving into Leo, and it's going to square Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus is all about, it can be all about chaos. It jostles you. It's all about shocking. It's about rebellion. It's about all of those things that's unconventional. It's about the freedom. It's about the split. It's about breaking things apart. Okay. And Mercury is squaring that. So Mercury right now is actually in retrograde. So Mercury in retrograde is like, this is another thing. Like, this is another layer of the conversations that's happening in the sky. Like, with Mercury being retrograde, it's an element of things from the past coming forward, right? And you're going to probably learn something with regards to where it touches in your house that you didn't know before. You're going to have a piece of information that you didn't know. It might be shocking in a good way or a bad way, for better or worse. You're going to find out. Okay. Then, the same day that it actually squares Uranus, Mercury is going to join the sun. And sometimes we say that when a planet joins the sun, its power can be turned down because it's being burned by the sun. We call that being combust. But in this case, it's far enough away from the sun where it's going to be getting good shimmers from the sun. It's going to be getting highlights. We call this a cazimi. This is auspicious. This is luck and opportunity. And so that information that you actually might get might be the information that you need to make the move that you need to make, the one piece that was missing from the puzzle, the one thing that was hidden from you. So you might learn something that's like, yeah, okay, I got this. All right. So you can make a move to becoming a better you, right? By having that information. Now, on the 19th, the next day, we have Venus in Virgo, and it's squaring Jupiter. Now, that may not be so bad because Venus and Jupiter are what we call benefics. They give gifts. They bring us good things, right? And so Venus rules our money. Venus rules our love. Jupiter just gives blessing on blessing, and it expands everything that it touches. But in this square between the two, it might be like, okay, it's showing you where you overdid something, because Jupiter expands something. So in love, Where are you allowing things to fly that probably shouldn't fly? Where are you sweeping things under a rug? Like, how long have you actually done that? Or how long has your partner allowed you to get away with some stuff? Right now, you just might not be able to get away with it. Okay. Where have you overspent? If we're talking about money, right? Where have you overdone your beauty treatments? Like, you need to slow down on the Botox. Quit with them lip injections right now. I'm joking, but I'm saying, like, Venus rules beauty. And so Jupiter squaring Venus is showing you, like, you OD'd, you overdid it. Chill out. Okay. And in the same day, Venus is going to oppose Saturn. And so that's not necessarily good, because Saturn is we call Saturn the taskmaster, but I like Saturn is like that teacher that has the ruler that sticks their finger out. No, you need to get back in line. You can't do this. Saturn is the parent that enforces the rules. And so if you got out of hand with your Venus, with Jupiter squaring it, then Saturn is going to come into play and have you put boundaries back in place, like fix things. Like now you're going to have to pay the piper with regards to wherever you OD'd, you overdid some things. And it's a fast moving aspect, so it's not going to stick around for too long. But if you fucked up, then Saturn is going to get you back in line, and you're going to fix whatever you messed up with regards to that Venus Jupiter conversation. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to say about that. Now, child, the biggie, we're going to have, like, we have a T square. We have a T square. So I want you to think, we talked about the opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Leo, the moon is in Aquarius. And then, like, imagine if you drew a line from the middle of them, and out at the end of that midline of that line that you drew from the middle of each, like, you have Uranus, and Uranus is what we call T squaring, like you draw in a T, right? So Uranus is what we're saying is T squaring the moon. It's T squaring the sun. Ooh, child. Now, we talked about Uranus being what it embodies. Like, it represents, Uranus wants to give you freedom, for better or worse. It wants to free you from, if it's not serving you, Uranus is going real quick. Uranus represents lightning, shocking, action, disruption, sudden, wake up, shake up. It's the wake up, shake up. Okay. And so with Uranus squaring, it's trying to bring you something, or break you away from something, so it can bring you to something shockingly, surprisingly, abruptly, and quick. Okay? Abrupt is the same thing as quick, but you get what I'm saying. And it brings chaos with it. You know what I mean? Or it can bring chaos. I mean, it might bring you something that have to make you move quick, but it's something that you actually wanted, right? So before this actually happens, let me back up a little bit. So you have Uranus is in Taurus. The moon and sun are in Aquarius and Leo. We talked about that, right? Lord. We have another big aspect or conversation that's happening. And this conversation this is usually not a good conversation. And this conversation is the square between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn, they just flat out don't like each other. I mean, not for real. Because maybe they like each other. Maybe they do, but this ain't real. This is not a good conversation. And so Jupiter is in Gemini. And Jupiter is in an air sign. And in Gemini, it tends to be all over the freaking place. Yes, Jupiter expands everything that it touches. It want to give gifts. It wants to do all of those things. But Gemini is an air sign. And so it's all over the goddamn place. It's everywhere. There's no structure to it. It's like, and it can be blown out of proportion. Okay. So then you have Jupiter squaring Saturn. And Saturn is like, oh, hell to the no. Like, that Jupiter kite is not going to fly. Okay? No. We need order. We need order in the court. We need boundaries. Are we following the rules? Like, you giving all of these gifts, you allowing all of this kite to fly. Like, what is this affecting? Right? Is this causing chaos? Have you even checked to see how given this thing is going to affect everything else? No, you haven't. And so we're going to put structure to this. That's what Saturn is doing. But before this square even happens, and it's happening on the same day as the full moon, Lord have mercy. It's being energized by the full moon. So it's even bigger than what it would ordinarily be without this energy giving it that boost. Let's back up a couple days, though. Now, on August the 14th, we had Mars going into Gemini. Now, Mars is like, Mars sets it off. Wherever Mars goes, like it's going into Gemini and it's conjuncting Jupiter. Mars is triggering Jupiter. So Jupiter is already expanding. It's already doing what it's doing. Imagine it being triggered by Mars. It's really going crazy. Mars is energizing Jupiter to go ham. Okay? To go ham. It's like, yes, do you. And it's like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. It's giving. We can't have all these cars on the road because they're going to crash. No, I'm just kidding. But Mars is energizing Jupiter. And then Mars and Saturn don't get along. So just think Mars is like the go, go, go. I don't think, I'm just going to go. I'm going to get shit done. I don't care what havoc I wreak in the process of getting done what I need to get done and getting what I want. And Saturn is and it's young energies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to go. And Saturn is the old, like, gray beard. No. You cannot. You need to calm down. And so on the 16th, Mars squares Saturn, agitating Saturn. Like, nah. Look what I did. I set Jupiter off, and this is going to piss you off. So that's adding fuel to the fire. Okay. But again, Saturn is like, never mind who you thought I was. I'm Saturn, bitch. You are not getting away with this. You're not. Okay? You're not. So it's a lot of stuff going on. And that is what makes this energy so crazy. It is like, we don't know really like what is going to happen. But again, like, we got to be prepared. And at the end of the day, this energy is going to bring us to our better selves, and what it is it's going to make us that much closer, because we are supposed to evolve. We are supposed to grow, and at the end of the day, this energy is helping us to do that. How are you going to use it? How is it affecting you in your chart? Well, we about to get into that right now. What's going on, my fellow Capricorns? You know I'm a Capricorn sun here, so I'm happy to talk about what the energies have in store for us during this August the 19th, 2024 full moon in Aquarius. Guys, this energy is so strong. It's so potent. It's so electric. It's so all the things. And it's going to be, when I say it's, the energy from this full moon is going to be energizing every single last conversation that's going on in this skies between our heavenly bodies, and it's going to affect us tremendously. So let's talk about what's actually going on for Capricorn. First, we have Mercury in retrograde right now, and it's retrograde in Leo. And so that's going to bring an element of the past with it, things that we have been dealing with from the past that we have to go back and fix, edit, redo, all of that kind of thing. And it's in Leo in our 8th house and squaring Uranus from our 5th house. So let's break this down. What is Mercury? Mercury is our thought processes, our ideas, information that is conscious and subconscious, from everywhere, how we understand information, how we exchange information, groups of people, short travel, our thinking processes, how we express our thoughts, and convey those thoughts to others, how they convey them and how we understand them from others, how we learn, etc. That's Mercury in Leo in our 8th house of transformation, sexuality, death and rebirth, personal growth, regeneration, our partner's resources, other people's resources and money, taxes, divorce, inheritance, insurances, addictions, and psychology, all of those things. And it's squaring Taurus in Uranus, in the 5th house. And what is Uranus? Uranus has to do with the splitting apart, the breaking apart. Why? Because it wants to free us so that we can live in the ideal. Uranus rules earthquakes and lightning, for heaven's sakes. So that's like shocking, sudden breaking apart, jolts of energy, disruptions, surprises. I call it the wake up, shake up energy. It can rule rebellions on the collective level. It can be pretty chaotic, but I don't feel like we should be scared. Sudden things are revealed to us, and and this energy is being super energized by the super full moon. Full moon brings forth bursts of energy without it being super, but it's super because it's closer to us. So that energy is amplified 10 times as much. And so the 5th house, which is where Uranus is, it deals with our creative self-expression, the life stage, right? Where we play, all forms of pleasure and entertainment, gambling, speculative actions, our pastimes, our hobbies, things that we love to do. It rules our romance and romantic relationships and our lovers, not our partners, our lovers. So boyfriend, girlfriend, things like that. We haven't yet moved from the lovers to the partnership. That's 7th house. So we're talking about before we actually become partners. And so those are the houses that are affected by the Mercury square Uranus. And so what does that actually mean? First of all, there's something that you need to edit, fix, redo with regards to your 8th house. So you need to revisit information and maybe something that's not being revealed to you about your shared property with folks, your taxes. Maybe you're in the middle of a transformation and you're going through certain personal development documents or language or books or whatever information that's helping you with that transformation, and something that you're not seeing and that you haven't been able to see to fully make that transformation or to fully make that change with regards to what it's touching in your 8th house, because you don't have the information. And when it squares Uranus from your 5th house, your house of creative self-expression, your house of romantic partnerships and lovers and fun, maybe you're having fun and you suddenly have a eureka moment and you get the information that you need to help you make that transformation that is needed to be made. And I don't necessarily feel this is going to be a bad thing for several reasons. Number one, Uranus It does deal with sudden, shocking earthquakes. And it could be an earthquake in life and, a disruption in life. I don't feel like it's going to be given all the smoke that it could be given. Number one, because Uranus is in Taurus, doesn't like to be in Taurus. It's in what we call in its fall or detriment in Taurus. So it's not at its full capacity. It's not at its full power. So it can't give us all the smoke because it just ain't strong enough. And we have Mercury in Leo. Now the sun is in Leo. When the sun is in Leo, the sun is at home. The sun is in domicile. It's in its full strength. And when the sun is in its full strength, we are getting all of the sun's goodness, everything good that the sun has to offer. So we are confident. We are bossed up. We're ready to take on leadership roles. We're happy. We're energized. We're playful. We're standing in strength. Like we're good. We're standing in the warmth of the sun rays. We're not being burnt by it because the sun is super strong and at home. And when Mercury joins the sun, it's not joining the sun in a way where its powers are combust. And that's when a planet joins the sun and its powers are burnt up and it's not at full strength. It can't give us its full strength because the sun is just too overpowering. No. Mercury is going to be far enough from the sun to where it is energized in the most magnificent way. We call this a cazimi. It's far enough to where it's getting all of the sun's goodness. It's getting energized and it's able to give us all of its goodness from the sun. So with Mercury getting all of its goodness from the sun, we're going to be getting that piece of information that we need to help us make the best decision with regards to what it is trying to help us accomplish what we needed to revisit in that 8th house of transformation of other people's money, their shared resources, taxes, divorce. We're getting good news from there in a shocking or maybe a sudden way. And we're able to snap things in place and make it go the way it needs to be going. So I don't think that this is going to be too bad at all. Well, really and truly, it depends on what's going on in your chart, because you could have natal planets affecting this and it could go the wrong way. I don't know. You got to figure that out. You got to get a reading to figure out what's happening, how it's actually happening for you. But overall, generally speaking, I don't think it's going to be too bad. And so moving on, the following day, the day of our full moon in Aquarius, we have Venus in Virgo, and that's going to be in your 9th house, and it's squaring Jupiter in Gemini in your 6th house. So first of all, let's just say neither one of those planets are good planets. They're benefic. They give us. Venus deals with beauty, luxury, our comforts, makes us feel good. It deals with our money, our relationships, things like that. It rules that. In Virgo, it's choked. It can't really express all of its good qualities because it's being subdued by the nature of Virgo, which is criticizing, and that chokes that chokes Venus. Ability to bestow on us all of her goodness. And then she's being squared by Jupiter in Gemini, and Jupiter doesn't behave well in Gemini. Gemini is an air sign. Jupiter expands everything it touches, and in this air sign, it's super chaotic. It's super all over the place, and it can be a bit irresponsible. In Gemini, it could be over optimistic, overly giving in ways that is just overindulgent and just not good for us. And that is affecting your Venus. So it's blowing everything up out of proportion. In that 9th house. So Venus is in your 9th house of your belief system. Are you super criticizing in your beliefs? Like what's happening? Are you trying to get papers for long distance travel, but the person that you're dealing with is just overly critical and just overly nitpicky and asking you for things that's just in excess of like really what's needed to get you those papers? Are you expressing your personal truths to other people in a very criticizing way? Like what's happening? You're doing the most with regards to that, and Jupiter's blowing it out of proportion from the sixth house, or some sort of way. Or are your beliefs affecting how you're scheduling things? Are you overcommitting in your scheduling, sixth house? Are you overdoing it in the gym? Like, are you trying to get in shape, but you are working out to where you're doing way too much cardio and it's affecting or killing your ability to build muscle? Are you lifting too much to where you blow your back out or you strain your muscles? Something is going on to where you're doing the absolute most, and that needs to come to a halt. And don't worry, it will. Venus transits it's a fast moving planet, so it's not necessarily long, but Venus will oppose Saturn. Saturn is the rule keeper. It knows the boundaries. It knows what we need to put in place to put the kibosh on the foolishness. And so it will be putting the kibosh on the foolishness. And it's opposing Venus from your third house of communication, of interactions with neighbors and siblings. So maybe a sibling might help you realize what you're doing wrong and help you to put some strategies in place to where you can get your routines together, your schedules together. Maybe you could, I don't know, but you get the drift. The third house rules, like we said, your neighbors, siblings, short trips, speaking, writing, how you formulate your thoughts, things of that nature. So Saturn might get your thoughts together and help you to think clearly about how you can fix what's going on in your ninth and sixth house. Moving on. Later in the day, we actually have one of the big kahunas, and that is what we're talking about right now, and that is the full moon. And so what is a full moon? That a full moon is an opposition at the end of the day. What is an opposition? An opposition is when you have two heavenly bodies in the sky having a conversation, standing across from one another 180 degrees from each other in the sky. And that conversation that they're having could be a friendly conversation, or it could be a nasty argument, a nasty struggle that's trying to bring balance, but in an unpleasant way. I think that this is going to be a fabulous conversation, a very friendly conversation. And the reason why I think it's going to be a friendly conversation, even though we have a square involved. So you have the sun in Leo sitting 180 degrees across from the moon in Aquarius, and it's being squared by Uranus. Let's break this down and give you the full picture of what's actually happening here. So the sun in Leo, we already talked about the sun is in full strength in Leo. It's given what it needs to give. And so we're being nicely energized by the sun, or the moon is being nicely energized by the sun, because the sun is just giving all of its good energy, its powerful rays and expression to the moon. And what is the moon? The moon holds our deepest, innermost thoughts and secrets and ideals. And when it's in a specific house, it's holding on to those innermost secret, private thoughts and dreams that we hold with regard to that house. And so the moon is in Aquarius in your second house of self-worth and money, personal finances, your possessions. And so what is your highest ideals? What is what you hold true? What is it what is it that you hold close and dear to you with regards to your personal possessions and your ideals of what that looks like for you? You're in your second house. Oh my God. This is so great. You have the sun energizing this. So you have secret dreams with regards to what you want to possess and how you want to feel with regards to your self-worth and what you want to possess with regards to your personal resources. When you hold things dear and true, your innermost secret dreams and and desires of the moon, it's, you can't really express it for one reason or another. But when the sun shines its energy on it through a full moon and it's in good aspect, what you want is bursting forth with crazy energy. And this is without it being a super moon, but it's a super moon. It's closer to us. So it's got crazy energy and it's crazy bursting forth, and you can make those things manifest, right? And so that is an actual great thing. And so it's getting further energized by the bolt of energy and sudden lightning strike from Uranus sitting in your fifth house. So what is it that you're going to be doing, Capricorn? Oh my God. Like, I feel like this is exciting. Like, are you doing something that's creative because it's coming from your fifth house that's energizing you in a way that's energizing your money and allowing you to call forth from your deepest depths? What is it that you want? I do think so. I mean, I don't see your chart, so I can't really tell you if it's going to be badly manifested but I feel like it's going to be good. I feel like it's going to be good. And I really want you all to tell me, like, what's going on here. I think it's going to be great. Also, so moving on, later in the day on the 19th, we have a big energy, probably the biggest kahuna of them all. We have Jupiter in Gemini squaring your Saturn in Pisces. This energy actually has been going on since 2020. When I say this energy, I mean the energies between Saturn and Jupiter. A story has been playing out for quite some time with these two because they came together in a conjunction at the end of 2020. When two planets come together, I want you to think of like a mother and father coming together to plant a seed to make a baby. So what idea, what experiences, what happened, what did you plant? What seed did you plant with these two planets way back then? Because it's unfolding right now, and you see the full effects of this seed, or this seed becomes its fullest when they actually start to oppose each other, when they're 180 degrees. And that's when you see the fullness. That's when you see the seed bear fruit. But when we have the square like we're having right now, it's kind of like the halfway point, and it shows you what's working and what's not working with regards to that seed that is planted. So what is it that you need to give up so that you can make this thing manifest? What is it that you need to give up so that you can get something to help it to grow? You understand what I'm saying? But it doesn't necessarily happen in a good way because it is a square. So squares bring tension, they bring battle, they bring conflict. And so ultimately what these squares do is they ask us to find our strength to get it done. They ask us to find our strength and shed parts of us that we don't need, that's not necessarily easy, that we hang on to unnecessarily. But you have to find your strength to evolve and become this person who can actually handle what's going to be given to you. If you don't shed what you need to shed and get what you need, the strength, right, then you can't realize or bear or participate in bearing the fruit that this seed is trying to bring. And the squares doesn't necessarily make it easy. So what do you have to give up? It's being squared from your third house of, you know, the lower mind. Community, that's not higher thinking, but it's like how you express yourself in everyday communication, writing, speaking. It involves your siblings, your early environment. Like, so what is it from that standpoint that is showing us or trying to show up to help us make manifest this seed that we planted between Jupiter and Gemini? What is it? Remember, Jupiter is not at its fullest strength in in Gemini. It's just absolutely, it's not, it could be, like I said, overindulgent, over optimistic, just doing the most. And Saturn is like, no, 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 no. This Jupiter kite ain't flying in this Gemini sky. No, it's not. We need rules. We need strategy put in place. We need to follow things by the book. And here is what you need to do to, here are the rules. Here's what you need to implement to get this thing done. It's going to show you that. Okay. But not to worry, because you're going to become the greatest person in the process of this pursuit. And so don't be afraid, be brave, have courage. Don't go run under a rock like people are advising you to do. If it's raining, if it's bringing rain, hey, put on your raincoat. Get your umbrella and your rain boots and keep it pushing. If you find yourself in a battle, you better get that sword and that shield out and fight, because you're fighting to become the best you can actually be. And just know that when you have experiences and you are fighting to be the best you can be, you find you discover yourself and you become better. You don't become better and you don't discover yourself by running. You discover yourself by finding that solution and fighting for that person. And you understand your strength. You realize a strength that you never had before. And that's what this energy is ultimately calling you to do. And so, guys, if you got anything out of what I have taught you today, please let me know in the comments. I want to know what your experiences are, because this is a conversation that I'm having with you. It's not one way, and I really want to know. And I hope that this has helped you and prepared you. And so if you got value, like and subscribe, share with your folks. And until next time, keep your hearts open and your spirits connected.